best advice you've received in real estate?
Best advice. I get a lot of really bad advice, so I avoid the bad advice, which in turn becomes the best advice I get. Um, eh, Honestly, I think the best advice I've gotten is from the mistakes I've learned, because otherwise it wouldn't have been good advice to myself. I could take advice from anybody and everything, and it's their experience, not mine. So I take advice from I wouldn't call them failures, but the lessons I've learned on the way. Does that sound crazy? Or
No, it's the only way we learn, right? So
Right.
you're talking about the willingness to fail
Yeah.
and fail in a sense of just not getting the outcome you desire and then going back. And it's of course how everything works, but it doesn't feel good in the moment. So it's like this if it's hard and it sort of puts a pit in your stomach and you don't get what you want, it's just another opportunity to go back and do it again.
You know what's weird, DJ, too, is I think it's the perception of how you categorize failure.
Yeah.
So I'll look at something that failed, and believe me, some of the mistakes I've made, there was like a big price tag to it,
Sure.
or time, and time's worth more than money.
Yeah.
Um, but as I got drugged down the rabbit hole, and let's say I was out, this just happened, 40, $50,000 in 6 months of my time, where I
Mm,
had to step back and say, stop it. You're just trying to win and
yeah.
you're beating a square peg in a round hole. And what the hell are you doing this for? And I just step back and become aware and almost kind of float above it and just kind of watch myself as a spectator and go, okay, idiot, what are you doing? Let's just start over here and let's unwire this thing, and let's not get mad at ourselves, because when we bring in all that bad stuff is the perception of making a mistake, your ego or whatever gets hit, and you have to just step away from it. And if you can successfully step away and go, thank you for the lesson. Yeah, I was really pushing on that and I was wrong. And I literally put it on a shelf. My mom called it, not to be religious or anything, my mom called it Jesus take the wheel, right?
Yep.
She's like, let God figure it out, or the
Yep.
universe, whatever. So I learned how to put this in this universal shelf of like, whoever's out there, go figure this out. Not to be too woo woo or anything, but what it does is it just takes it out of your brain and puts it in another place.
Yeah.
And then this thing called faith of knowing that the answer will be downloaded to you in the morning. And I wake up with a freaking answer every time. Don't know where
Isn't
it
it
comes from. I don't know. But
you're not alone in that experience. So what I heard is a lot of what is mindfulness, and it's funny. Mindfulness is a word that gets thrown around a lot, and the way that I understand it, and the way that I've started to develop it, and it's really difficult, but it's sort of the pinging back and forth between first person experience. I'm Jeff having this major challenge, and I'm sinking all this cost into this time into this project that isn't working, but I can figure it out. I know I can do it. And then, not maybe seeing it so objectively and rationally, and then having to be able to go to third person, which is kind of what you were saying, floating above and saying, wait a minute, the wiser, smarter Jeff or the universe can take a better, more accurate look at this and say, what's going on here? Same thing with emotions, right? We can have this incredibly challenging immediate reaction to something, and then if we float above and look at ourselves in third person and say, oh, he's upset because he didn't get what he needed as a child. He's running this pattern. That's just what he does. It's what his brain does. Okay, that's okay. He doesn't realize he's doing it. I'm going to go back into his brain and kind of tell him, you don't have to do that right now. So I'm with you. I think what you just are talking about is mindfulness, which is one of the most useful skills. I didn't know how useful it was until I started learning how to actually do it. And it took
mhm.
years. And I still struggle with it, but it's this idea of being able to watch myself in real time doing something and going, oh, DJ's doing this thing that doesn't make a lot of sense, and we can possibly, change it. Or I'm going to turn it over like you did, release control, which is the hardest thing to do, and just I'll assume that it's going to get worked out. Like something will figure this out. And like you said, maybe even throwing it into the ether and waking up with the answer. So I love that. I'm sorry for talking so much about this, but I think it is such a powerful thing. We're talking like intuition almost.
Yeah,
This
well,
this
you're asking advice from your higher self. So you're really asking advice from someone, but you're actually asking it from the experiences. And so if you didn't have those stepping stones of what you want to call a mistake, I don't call them mistakes. I just, I fail up. And if they
exactly.
weren't there, no matter how much they cost, and asking your forgiveness for them, or asking forgiveness of your business partner. Hey, Dan, I just, my business partner. Yeah, I know I spent $40,000 in 5 months of just I wouldn't call it wasted time, but look at the result. Now we're going to 10x and have a way better result because of that. And I just learned how to figure out how to get there faster by not beating myself up to the destination of what I thought that destination was, because that destination comes back completely different almost every time. I'm like, wow, I never saw that angle. That's cool. So,
Right.
and being open to it, that's really what I've learned in the last 2 years as a leader,
All right. Worst advice you've received.
Uh, don't listen to everybody else. Seriously. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself. It's good to gather information. It's great to have mentors. It's great to take all that and absorb it and think about it and put that also on the shelf. Okay, I've collected all this data. I've done some mistakes. I've got some great advice from other people. This is what they did. I'm going to put that in conjunction with everything else to get back to me to come into play and figure out some kind of solution for it. It's there. You just don't hear it. It's clouded with the prompters from self-limiting beliefs that we've all created because it's that Darwinism thing in our brain that has protected us at one point in time for, hey man, I can't admit I made a mistake because it would show weakness, or hey man, I can't do this because of that. And you have these little, I call it monkey brain. And
Yep.
the monkey brains are always those little things whispering, you can't, mommy and daddy issues, all that kind of stuff. You just got to step away from it and say, that happened in the past. It protected me at the time. I'm going to take this old guard that served me and I'm going to uprank him from a soldier to a general and say, don't do that shit again. And you're not fighting anymore. Right. And so you're really recruiting your new army of sages versus shitheads of
Yeah.
prompters, that screwed you up in the past.
And then like we were talking about this before we started, but then just acting differently, right? So it's like, yes, you have these wounds. We all have wounds. We all have things that happen to us that weren't great. And once we're aware of those patterns, we can literally just act differently. You could just be the person you want to be with the resources that you want, and you get different results when you just act as if. And it's not a lie, right? It's not, hey, I'm competent when I'm not, because people will see that right away. But it's
100%.
it's
Yeah.
this, I am going to become this person who has these resources, who reacts differently, who
Mhm.
does different behaviors, and then eventually the brain just goes, oh, okay, I guess we're doing that now. And it
I got
figures it
this.
out.
You just retrained your brain, and then you get the dopamine hit from that. Going, ooh, I like doing this stuff. It's like the working out. It sucks every
Always
time
sucks.
you're like, let me go January 1st. I get a gym membership that I don't show up 2 months later, and I paid for a month and a half or maybe even 2 weeks of a whole year of a gym membership that I never showed up for. But I can't cancel it because I'll feel guilty because I am a loser. I didn't go work out. But if you just walked in, I mean, just set your phone to like 5,000, 6,000 steps a day. That's working out. And if you did that consistently, the results you'd get from going to the gym 2 weeks out of the year would be astronomically compounded interest results versus, feeling bad about something that you attempted to do and failed.
Yeah, and then if you can't do it yourself, what I had to do for the gym, and again, I use this, I talk about this a lot on the show, and I apologize to our listeners who've heard me say it, but if you haven't and you're new, this was helpful for me. It's the expensive option, but it works for me. Is I couldn't get to the gym myself. I'd let myself off the hook. I just wouldn't go. And finally, at 42, I said, I got to get a trainer because it's so expensive that I will definitely show up. And I've been with a trainer now 6 years, and it also forces me to make more money because I have to pay the trainer. And I know that the moment I can't afford it, I will stop. And I
Yeah,
am like in really the best shape of my life, and I've never missed.
good for
But
you.
but I pay for it, but that's what works for me. And so I had to, like you were saying, I had to try all these different things, and it was like, oh, I just need to pay for it, and when I pay for it, I'll actually do it. And for hopefully our listeners who are struggling to get to the gym, hopefully you don't have to do that because that's a really expensive way to do it. But whatever works works. So anyway, I am a big believer in just keep trying different things until something works, like
Yeah.
you were saying. Jeff Biebuyck is our guest today, and he's a founding member of Front Gate Real Estate, which is consistently ranking among the top 1% in agents nationwide. He has over 20 years of experience in California's luxury market. Jeff specializes in high end properties throughout Calabasas, Hidden Hills, and greater LA, serving a sophisticated clientele, including celebrities, corporate executives, and entertainment industry professionals. He's a Detroit native who transitioned from the music and film industries to real estate. Jeff brings a unique creative perspective to luxury property marketing. His engineering background and advisory roles on multiple prop tech companies' boards, it really put him at the forefront of real estate tech innovation. He is a Compass agent, and you can follow him on Instagram at Jeff B Buck, and I will have a link to that. But it's Jeff, letter B, and then Buck, Buck, and we will have a link to that, and you can learn all about Jeff there. And you can just Google him; he's all over the place. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, DJ. Finally meet you, I should say, because I was watching the show and it's like, oh yeah, it's him, live in person.
Well, I think you and I have a lot of things in common, and it's really cool to. This is one of the best parts for me on this show is getting to meet people like you because I just, I love being able to talk to people who are kind of at the forefront of not just this industry but other industries. You're a tech guy, and you're also into marketing, and you just have a lot of thoughts, and I love people that have thoughts. So we're going to get into some of those thoughts. Let's first talk about your transition because you started in entertainment, right? And then went into real estate. So how and why?
I think it started first with, I was in bands. I traveled and played out here in California, Sunset Strip, Troubadour, all that kind of cool stuff. I was a kid that was listening to in Detroit, listening to early Van Halen and Kiss.
Sure.
And laying in bed pretending I was in the show, literally pretending. I don't know why, it just happened. And I was fascinated with it. And I was pretending in my head, remember it, laying in my bunk bed, my shared bedroom with my brother, having a rock concert, listening to, these bands, and then getting all these cool magazines back there. And they were talking about this LA thing and the Sunset Strip and, where all these bands came from.
Yeah.
And I kind of just, I don't know if I even purposely did it. I just dreamt about it so much that I just ended up, fast forward, I'm standing on the stage at the Troubadour first show and I'm looking down at my boots going, wow, Jim Morrison stood here. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap, I'm done. That's a bucket list. What's next? So same thing happened with real estate. It was, not that I dreamt about, oh God, I wish I was a big, huge real estate agent. And that was not a dream. But what happened is I bought a couple houses. My wife got pregnant with her first son, didn't know what we were doing. We bought a house. We go out for our first walk and we just realized it was like straight downhill and we couldn't walk to anything, so we had to get in the car and drive. And she looked at me and she's like, oh man, we screwed up. I'm like, damn it. So went in, did some little repairs to fix it up, didn't realize that we were at the crux of starting to flip properties, but we fixed it up. I hired a real estate agent. Did not do a good job, didn't answer my questions. I felt just kind of really like lost in the process and nervous and scared. First house, all this money. I'm like, oh my God, this is a huge life moment. Here's our first kid. If we screw this up, what happens? So we sell the house. We did very well with it. It was kind of like an accidental flip. And then I saw what the agent got paid and the money he made and what I got in return for it. And I'm like, screw that. I'm going to go get a real estate license and not pay that guy again,
Right.
not realizing that I probably didn't have that good of an agent, at the time. And then we flipped. I don't even know. I would not even purposely, but I think we've only lived in houses from 18 months to 2 years to, for tax purposes or whatever, and did that 15, 20 times.
Wow.
And I ended up getting the license kind of just to save the money. But then when I was doing that, since I came from the music industry, a couple of my buddies that could buy big houses were like, hey, dude, I trust you. Sell me a big house. I'm like, all right. And then I got the paycheck for that. And I'm for a $5 million deal. I was like, whoa, I can do this and not even have to flip a house. Maybe I should do both. And that's what happened, how we got into luxury. And that's how I got into investing in homes.
Wow. And amazing. And so that's how you built your clientele was through your own investing and people seeing what you're doing and saying, hey, he seems to know something. And it wasn't the traditional getting out there and kind of beating the pavement and
Mm.
becoming the local guy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that, and I've always been brutally, just savagely honest with people, not even just people or agents on my team, but just even clients. And if they came to me and I'm dealing with these, higher end properties, and they ask me my opinion, I'm like, I don't know. I'm new at this, man. But I'll find out and I will get the best answer possible because I have connections to everybody and anybody that I need to find this answer. So, I never tried to fake someone out to work with me for something that I wasn't.
Yeah.
What I was brutally honest, and then I would get back to you with an answer versus trying to keep that client engaged and being, I wouldn't say fake about it, but giving them some advice that I wasn't exactly sure. And I'm sure we've all been in that position before where you wanted to sound knowledgeable, you gave some advice, but then later on you found out like, well, shit, that was totally wrong. Should I just not say anything and just let it ride? I don't know. So that's my best advice for anybody is just be brutally honest. If you don't know the answer, I would, do unto others. If my accountant doesn't know a lot of shit, he does where he needs to know it. But if he needs to find something out, I trust him because he goes, you know what? I don't know. I got to check on that. Or if I have an attorney, I don't know. I got to check on that. I'm not expecting the answer that minute. I'm expecting an answer. But when he comes back to me with 15 different options because he looked into it, I'm like, that's my guy. And
Yeah.
that's who you got to be, you know?
Yeah, it's getting to the information. I love that sort of attitude when you do meet a service person who goes, "Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to find out and get back to you." They get excited even. Like
Mhm.
it's like, "Oh, this person's into their job," and that's what you want from anybody who you're hiring. So I love that. What was the biggest sort of change for you or the biggest surprise maybe switching from music and entertainment to real estate? Like, are those worlds similar in any way, or are they different? I mean, obviously, the content is different, but how those worlds intersect?
Was Getty Lee says in Rush, like all the world's indeed a stage and we're merely players, right? I don't even think it's Getty Lee, I think it's Shakespeare, but it's true. I mean, it's just a different stage. It's a different place to show up, it's a different place to perform, it's a different place to build a tribe. So I always kind of looked at, and I never thought I'd have a 60 agent team or band. I look at it like this way. We went from doing local bars to Lollapalooza to Coachella to, getting it, as the team gets bigger, there's more roadies, there's more road managers, there's more accountants, there's all this kind of stuff. And I don't want to make it not fun anymore. I want to be able to, like, if I'm going on stage and being able to perform, that all the chaos that happens behind as you grow bigger on this tour doesn't take the life out of that performance,
Mhm.
meaning that the message I'm trying to do, whether it's a first time home buyer, an agent starting out on my team trying to build their career, I want to come into that fresh and full of energy and and focus so that it doesn't get watered down because like I just got too much other noise and I can't bother with you, because I think that's what takes away from a lot of artists. I think that takes away from almost anyone. So I really try to get that laser energy focus like it was the first time, you know, and really focus on that versus getting it watered down to when you scale out too big, you just lose it.
I love that. So really trying to make sure that at the end of the day, the end product, I guess, is a laser focused product, and getting all of the background operational stuff sort of figured out and not letting it affect the performance, I guess is what I'm hearing.
100%. I got a call yesterday and I got really upset because what I promise I deliver. And because it's not a person on my team's fault if we get too big, that it doesn't matter. Right. So at one of my agents that was very important, she was getting her real estate career back on track, which is why she joined my team. Right. And I'm getting paid as a partner to perform. So if she comes on and for whatever reason something didn't happen, it just listed, just sold. It could be menial stuff like who gives a shit, right? Oh, someone didn't see your post that nobody's looking at, your page because you don't have enough followers anyway. But it mattered to her, and that right person might have seen it regardless of the size of that. So it could have been frivolous, but for me personally, I was like, hey, why didn't that happen? And that's what I promised. And I had to go back to my team and go, guys, figure out where this broke. And I never want it to happen again because you are affecting my relationship with this client because they're going to lose trust from me because I promised them something. And that upset me more than anything this week. And I went to the Zillow convention. So that's bad. Not the Zillow convention, but I meant the fact that that bothered me more means that I'm laser focused on serving the agent on my team and their client and their performance versus this big ecosystem of like Zillow, tying it into my team and doing the sales. That's more important to me.
Yeah. No, it's expecting a high level of service, right? And so that's I think those are good things to get upset about, in a reasonable way, right? So, uh, yeah, we could certainly. I found that the top agents, and we've had a lot of the nation's top agents on the show, and people like yourself who they just expect more. They just sort of go, I just got to sort of do a little better than everybody else. And it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily even mean work harder, although that usually is part of it, but it's part of this like level of standard. It's like, we're just going to raise our standards. We're going to be the Ritz Carlton as opposed to, a La Quinta. And there's nothing wrong with being a La Quinta if that's your market. But if you
Sure.
if you want to play in a different, type of arena, you have to show up a little differently. And so I totally agree with that. And having those standards well defined and expecting that from the team makes sense. And we should also mention, by the way, and Jeff has an amazing team. He has 60 people, and he's with Compass, a great company, and he is always looking for more talent. Just I'm a recruiter. I know that as well. So if you are somebody who is in the sort of that area of the country, and you are maybe independent, or maybe you're on a team yourself and you're not getting what you need, maybe you're not getting the direction or the tools or the support, and you're looking to see what other teams provide and what you can offer a team, I would encourage you to reach out to Jeff. Jeff, what's the best way another agent, if they want to connect with you, how should they do that?
They can just go on frontgaterealestate.com. In the top, it says join the team, and all the information's on there about what we offer, what we do, the surface level of it. And then it's just connecting with me. Um, yeah. And we just kind of look at each agent that comes on the team individually. Everybody's different, man. Everyone has superpowers and everyone has kryptonite. I'm not going to try to force someone to become better. Like Superman, kryptonite's kryptonite. It's going to hurt you. It's not going to ever help. The best thing you can do is get it away, right? And focus on the superpower. So that's what we do. So if an agent has a kryptonite, why am I forcing use this, do this? You have to learn to do that. If it doesn't feel comfortable, don't do it. There's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. We find out what that way is because the will's already there, and then we just 10x that and take the kryptonite away. And that's our superpower as a team, because that's what I realized, that I hate forcing anything. I'm not a stick guy. I'm a carrot guy. And, I like carrots better than sticks. Who doesn't?
Yeah, and not every team works that way. There are some teams that are stick focused, and
Yeah.
that works for them. But yeah, I absolutely feel the same way, and I think most agents probably do that. So when you have top performing team members, and you know part of your job, I guess, as the team lead is to keep them motivated, and I think it sounds like you do that by really recognizing their individual goals and talents, and really kind of leaning in and going, let me help you solve this. So we'll find, because it's all about solving problems. And,
Right,
and,
right.
and that's what you really are, just a master problem solver. And by doing that, you're going to enable your team to succeed. So I am curious. I want to switch gears just a little bit, because I want to talk about market dynamics, because the market's obviously it's in a kind of an unusual place, and it depends what market you're in. But on the West Coast, I'm curious to get your thoughts. But Zillow, you were just out with Zillow, so I have been to some of those Zillow events as well, and I love it. Have a great relationship with people at Zillow, and they always have interesting insights with the data that they have, and a lot of it's stuff that isn't super intuitive. So I'm curious, uh, what are you seeing out there, and what are you thinking about as sort of for the future?
Well, everybody's going to have their own micro community area level of things that happen. For instance, where we're at, we had these Woolsey fires before the LA Pacific Palisades fires. Woolsey fires were right in our backyard. This room I'm sitting in right now is evacuated from this house twice.
Hmm.
Um, so what's happening, and it's happening across the country, Florida with floods, Texas with storms. I mean, you name it, California with fires. But we just closed a house. Dana and I did. There was an $8 million newer construction. It was almost through $280,000 a year premium.
Wow.
280. That's do the math, 27-ish to 26,000 a month for insurance.
Wow.
So, and for $1 million house, it could be 20, 30,000, depending where it's at. So we're in a severe fire zone. So that basically really has brought our market down to almost 60, 65%, which is
Mhm.
catastrophic,
Yeah.
especially in the high end too, because it was that much more affordable. But it's irrelevant if it's $1 million house or 10 million. It's going to be that same level of you double or triple the insurance, you're going to have that same problem basically. So insurability became an issue with affordability. And then you got the interest rates and all that kind of stuff. So we've seen a massive, shift in our market, but we diversified. One great thing about Zillow honestly kind of helps save our team. Yes, there's hefty fees when you're on a Zillow Flex, but having said that, we were able to diversify, spread out across all of greater Los Angeles into different markets where we didn't even think about going before because we're, a luxury, brand that was like hyper focused on a certain area. And 60 agents, and I think we did 100 million with Zillow last year. It really helped. I don't even know, very good possibility we might not even have been there with that, situation. Um, so that was a blessing, and that worked out well. But I think from a macro level, from what I've heard and from incredible conversations I've had with, top team leaders. I mean, I've talked to Robert, Refkin with Compass personally all the time, speaking with very higher up at Zillow. You just hear kind of where the market's shifting, what's going on. I really feel, and they feel like we really hit the bottom. August was like probably the crappiest year in real estate in the last 30 years,
Mhm.
this last August. So what their predictions are is that, everyone's going to have different hyperlocal situations, but, we're going to hum along here and it's going to be a little bit more steadier and it's not going to be this volatile up and down where we're going to see a nice flattening to a gradual, new normal. What that new normal looks like, well, it's not going to be the unicorn years of what happened,
Sure.
right after COVID. And I think the volatility is going to be a little bit more removed from the market to not have those epic spikes and valleys, which I'll take because try to run a business on that. Oh my God. I mean, we all know that. Look at our
Sure.
paychecks in the last 2 years,
So you had a massive change because I wasn't even thinking about the insurability issue. Yeah, you got hit hard because of course that just you just pull so many people out of that geographic area because it just doesn't make sense anymore. And you guys pivoted, which is
Yeah.
really amazing. And obviously something you probably, had to do and did it and were successful at that. I always think it's so cool when you talk to people who really understand running their business like a business because challenges happen. We've had
Yeah.
it here at our firm, our version of what happened to you. And yeah, you would literally have to pivot. And then you're just like, oh, you just kind of take that same skill set and apply it elsewhere. And you figure out a solution. So my hat's off to you because I think probably a lot of agents who were in that space probably just it was probably super depressing and they probably didn't pivot as much as maybe they should have or as much as you did. And I think that's just incredible. So again, another reason to consider joining Jeff's team is, they are going to make changes. They're not the battleship in the bathtub. They can pivot when they need to. And that is something that great teams do. And other teams, who fall behind it. I'm curious, what do you think's going to happen? Because AI's here, of course, and we're all using it to some degree, at least to rewrite our listing descriptions. But we should be using it for much more than that. And in fact, if you're going to use it to rewrite your listing descriptions, at least do a good job of writing a prompt to get a good listing description. But I don't think a lot of agents are even doing that; just like copying and pasting it in and hoping it rewrites it well. But again, AI can do so much more. But what are you seeing? What do you think? Because you're a tech guy, where do you think what do you think AI is going to do to agents? Is it a net positive? Is it a net negative? What agents will be affected? What agents will be empowered? Sort of what are your thoughts there?
Sure. I think it's all how you kind of look at it again, because at the end of the day, AI is everyone, scary, scary, scary. It's going to be like, all those movies we've watched from like from Total Recall to Terminator to iRobot, right? It was just like taking over the world and, blowing us up. Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating that some of the stuff that we're able to do now, it's like, wow, that really helped me out. But it hallucinates a lot. Not everything's
Yeah.
perfect. It's going to take a while for it to really to do that. Um, but I think what's going to happen, and from what I'm seeing, and here's a perfect example, and I'm sure everybody listening right now knows exactly what I'm talking about, including yourself, DJ, is that you get that phone call, right? And you hear that pause. And you're like, hello, hello, ding. It's like, oh, hello, Jeff. How are you today? I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't hang up fast enough. My reaction is like, idiot, click, and it's like interrupted me,
Right.
and I don't think I've ever gotten through an AI phone call.
Me neither.
I don't think anybody has, because it's just we don't want to talk to a robot. We want to
No.
talk to human.
Do
Now,
not.
so having said that, and our brains have now tuned into it very quickly. I get an email from someone, I'm like, I use ChatGPT. He doesn't talk like that. Myself too. I mean, I even put in my email like, if I wrote it, this was not written by ChatGPT, or if it was, I'll laugh and go, yeah, yeah, that was the help of AI, Jeff, or whatever. And it's great for that. I love it. I just did 10 things today that enhanced and made me work faster and more effectively. But I'm here to tell you, and then it'll be interesting to have a conversation for our 10 years future selves. AI is not going to ever replace you. It's not going to replace me. Yeah, could it replace certain jobs, the people that did property descriptions, or some of the video editors that now you could take still videos and make it. Yeah, yes, it could do a lot of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to make humans more valuable. Like, I think a piece of art that someone did a painting by a human versus like an AI generated piece of art is going to be way more valuable. Or a song that was actually written by a real musician versus an AI band or AI, persona, or an actor or actress. That I've heard some crazy stuff. Like they have, AI actresses and actors now. Like, I don't want to watch some robot fake it out. I want to see the real person do it.
Yes, I know this has been proven by psychologists over and over and over again, and I don't know that it's exactly an apples to apples sort of just comparison, but it's funny. People devalue things that they perceive as free.
Right.
Even if they're super high quality. And again, AI is a kind of an example of that. And yes, AI is can be super high quality, and it's also kind of free, and it's not valued the same as even something you pay a dollar for. It's like the
100%.
it's remarkably different. So you're right. I don't think music. It's in trouble because they can create its own music now. Like music can just create its own music and we can listen to it, but we're not going to appreciate it the way we appreciate when an artist actually, puts their own work into it. And
Right.
I think you're right. That authenticity is what we all actually desire. So whether it's art or paintings or music or anything, television, film, I don't want to watch a fake Meryl Streep. I want to watch the real Meryl Streep.
100%. And that's why when people are working with a person that's enhanced with AI that helps me do my job better and more effectively, that's the winner. But I think that it's going to become more valuable to have the that relationship and focusing on that relationship and keeping those relationships, because nobody can take that away from you. And
Right.
you and I can go and make the most incredible AI spouse on the planet. She will do anything and everything we want her to do, or it or her or him, and it will literally be the perfect spouse. It won't talk back, won't tell me to do the dishes, won't yell at me when I'm being stupid. And at the end of the day, I'm going to feel really super empty
Right.
because even though it performed perfectly, um, that it's just not that same person, that soul to soul contact,
I had a very wise person once tell me, and this is pre AI, but he said, because I would bring my dog to, I had this little chihuahua, and I would just bring her everywhere, and so he once said to me, he was much older and wiser, and he's passed away now, but he said something that was so brilliant. He said, "Do you love your dog?" I said, "Yeah." "Does your dog love you?" "I guess so." Whatever. And he'd say, "Is it a fulfilling relationship, you and your dog?" And I thought about it, and I went, "No, it's really not." He goes, "Do you know why that is?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Because there's no risk. She can't leave you. The dog's never going to leave."
Mhm.
He said that's why relationships are so important, because there's risk. And he said
Mm.
that's why it's so important to have relationships, because there's something at stake. And you're right. We could build these fake girlfriends or fake wives or these AI assistants, and that's great. And there's things that can be useful there, but to have it replace an actual human relationship is you're right. It's empty. It's hollow. It is not. It is not going to give us a feeling of actual connection. So
100%. I love that you said there's something at stake, because that's so true. Because look, our whole lives, look, we wake up, we're born and we die, and we pay taxes, and that's pretty much the only variable. Anything else can happen in between, right? But we know
yep,
those variables are going to happen. you know, um, but something at stake, yeah, something that invokes change or something at risk are the things that you value the most, right? What makes it exciting? If I sit down and I just got back from Vegas and I'm like, hey, I know I'm going to walk away with $1,000 from this bet, it's going to be boring as hell. But if
right.
I put my money in going, oh God, it's just $100, it's all, and you're sitting there freaking out. And when you win, it makes it so much exciting because there was something at stake. So I 100% agree. I love that you said that. I
Yeah.
actually wrote that down. So
Well, I do not mean any disrespect to any other pet owners. I have two cats. I love my cats, and they love me the best they can. But you're right. He's right. They can't really leave, and so as a result, but humans can, and sometimes do, and that's where you have to keep those relationships. And it's really no different from clients. Clients can leave. Clients can take off, and if you don't maintain those relationships, they will. And so that's where because you're putting in hard work then, and the hard work is like going to the gym. It's not the muscles in the mirror, it's the
right,
hard work that is really what builds the character. Because you're right, it's like the end result is just the end result. Either you get the muscles or the whatever, or you don't. But I've also found, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I found that when I've achieved goals, it's been so surprising to me in my life, big goals, that it's often super depressing, like immediately after. And I was like, one of the biggest surprises of my life is like, oh, I thought I wanted the thing. It's like, no, I didn't want the thing. I just wanted all the work it takes to get to the thing.
It's interesting you say that, because what happens is that's a self-sabotaging subconscious thing that actually happens. So
Yeah.
if you learn to enjoy the journey on the way, that's the result, right?
Yep.
And a lot of stuff happens in that journey, and later on in life you find out it was like, oh, it was the whole path there. It wasn't getting there because subconsciously you don't really want to get there, because then you stand at the summit by yourself and you're like,
Yeah.
shit, now
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get to the summit because they subconsciously sabotage themselves from getting there because they don't really want to go there. But if you can get back, say, yeah, I'm going to hit that summit. I'm going to turn back around. I'm going to hit that summit. Then I'm going to hit
Yep. You
that
just keep
summit.
going.
Yeah. And you just keep going. Then you're not setting yourself with I hate putting benchmarks. Someone's like, how many person team do you want to get to? What dollar amount? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just surfing the wave, and whatever feels good. When it doesn't
Yeah.
feel good, I'll scale back and adjust, but I'm never going to put a number or anything on everything, because the number's infinite. I don't know. I'm just going to let it
You're
go at that.
right, and you don't know what the number is, and what matters is the all the work it takes to get to the number, and that's the journey. And you are so right. I always think about direction versus goal. Like I'm heading in this direction, and
Mhm.
yes, there's markers along the way, and I have to obviously maintain my finances and make sure I'm not I'm doing things in a responsible manner, but I'm really not looking for the thing, because I know the thing itself is oftentimes not the thing. It's
Right.
just the direction. Because okay, so let's say I want to get, perfect six pack abs. Like, okay, that's possible, I guess. And I could do all the work. And then it's like, then I get to it and it's like, all right, now what's next? Like, I just
You're
look at,
sitting there looking
admire
in the
my
mirror with
abs all
all
the
those
time. Yeah.
abs.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh no, I have to keep working out for the rest of my life if I want to maintain that
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, oh, that's the reason to do it, because maybe I'll live longer if I have a stronger body. Like, that's the reason to do it. And so it's like, okay, so then it's not the thing, because if I just want to live longer, have a more comfortable ride until the end, I better get to the gym. That's just kind of a non-negotiable, but it sucks
Right.
to go to the gym, but that's what you have to do. So it's kind of just like get, you know, get yourself to do the hard thing, right?
Yeah.
And just keep doing the hard thing, and the results kind of, if you're paying attention, will sort of take care of themselves for most of the time. Or you'll pivot and go do something else, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's good to have benchmarks towards,
sure.
whatever a goal looks like. The benchmarks are great. The goal, I can't tell you, every goal I've hit didn't look anything like I visualized in my head whatsoever. Never would have envisioned, oh, I have a team here and we're doing X amount and there's X amount of agents. Um, I didn't sculpt that idea. It just kind of happened and went in that direction because it felt good. It's like surfing. It's just like, you hit a wave and it's awesome, and sometimes you're waiting for the wave and sometimes it doesn't come that day, but eventually getting out there, that makes that wave so much more epic because you went and froze your ass off and sitting in the middle of the ocean waiting for that wave to come in. And all of a sudden it just comes and you're like, oh, here it is. And you were prepared for it because you just so earned to get on that wave. And you just enjoy the ride so much better because you earned it.
Yeah.
So it's waiting for the wave to come in, right?
You're right. We have no control over when the wave comes in. We just have the ability to paddle and get
Just
out
be
there.
there.
Yeah.
Is when you're there and then it happens, it's awesome. You just have to show up. Just
Yeah.
show up. It'll happen. And half the agents on my team, it's like, man, if they just 80% of the time just showed up,
Yeah.
amazing success. It was the ones that quit, the ones that stopped, the ones that pivoted, the ones that didn't stay consistent. Those are the ones that failed. And whether they're a better agent, or I think the better agent is the one that showed up because
Yeah.
those are the ones that got the result, regardless. And I have a lot of agents that show up that are newer, that are outselling a lot of senior agents on the team because they're just showing up. That's it.
You like to build things, and you were telling me about a tool that you're building to sort of become the mayor of your town. Can you speak to that a bit and let our audience know what you're working on?
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's a SaaS product. We didn't. It's going to be coming releasing up pretty soon. So when we service our clients, and this happens every time, as soon as we close or in the process of closing, or just existing clients on the way, everything is like, well, Jeff's around town. He knows what's going on. He knows a lot of people. What's your favorite restaurant? Or do you have a probate attorney? Or I need a cat or a dog walker or cat walker. Is there such a thing? A pet sitter, I should say. So we have this big list, but it's never perfect and it's never in a perfect list. And I just get, everybody calling for everything. So what we did is we found a way to find to be the local mayor. There's only one mayor, so there's exclusivity to it, right? You can't have local 10 mayors. And basically you go, it finds all the local businesses, finds out who's the 4.5 star, 5 star, whatever rating you want. Make sure they don't have any crappy, better Business Bureau ratings. Think of it as it just scoops it all up, serves it to you with an appointment. And magically on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 2 and 5 o'clock, they're sitting in your calendar ready to talk to you because they want to be part of your registry to get introduced to your whole database of people. Because that's what they really want. They want customers.
Sure.
And I want customers too. So basically, in a nutshell, it just reaches out to them and say, hey, I want to put you part of the directory and promote you to a lot of my clients. The ones that don't show up think that we're trying to sell them something or trying to get a subscription or whatever. So I'll have the A actually, like, it's not AI calling, but we have this there's no work on the agent's part except for just basically taking that appointment. And their first thing is, how much does it cost? I'm like, it doesn't cost anything. It costs you one referral a year. So think of everybody in your directory that you build up throughout the year, giving you 1 to 3 referrals a year because you're training them
Huge.
to refer. It's huge. Well, just do the math on it. If I have my median price point's $1.5 million, 2 million where I live, or even let's just call it $1 million. You have 100 people in your service directory that you're sending out to all your existing clients anyway and referring. Put them on your Instagram, putting them out there. By the way, that's the software does all this for you. It literally just posts blogs and reels and social media posts all for you automatically and sends it out to the client. The client sees that you're promoting the shit out of their business, basically.
And
So
probably tags the client as well.
it does, and sends them an email and a summary and everything. So 2-3 months into it, they're like, holy crap, I owe this guy. He's totally promoting and they're going to kick me off the system. I don't threaten anyone. I just said, just give me one referral a year. And it will gamify it too. And it'll remind you to remind people. And I don't mind asking those people for referral. I'm not like some of the systems where, I'm kindly, reminding people, hey, by the way, they know I'm selling houses. Hey, by the way, if you know of anybody that's buying or selling, just think of me. I hate that.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So this, with just sending out and showing what I'm doing and promoting this to the database, they really feel like they owe you one. So let's just say if some people don't, you replace them. Just say, hey, look, this is for me to do all this stuff and promote you, and I love your services and all this stuff, but I really need you to promote some business back to me. That's it. It doesn't cost you anything. Just think, I know you meet 100 people a day, or I'm sorry, I know that you have this big database of people that you're meeting not only daily, but all year. Bring my name up. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And you can train people to refer you because basically they feel like you did something for them and that they owe you something. So they just magically, automatically, just kind of weirdly happens. So if you have 100 people, let's say some people gave you two or three and some gave you none. Let's just say if you still got 100 referrals. Well, instead of me paying for 40% for a Zillow Flex lead, or instead of me paying a referral fee to another agent, or me paying like as a lead service through getting a pay-per-click through Ylopo, um, if I have somebody saying, hey, my friend DJ wants to buy a house, and give him a call. He said he wants to sell it or buy something next week or next year or thinking about selling, and connects me. My closing ratio on those are way higher. Like,
Sure.
let's say if it's a like on a pay-per-click lead, it's like a 1% conversion
Right.
realistically. Zillow has the best leads out there, and that's like a 5 to 10%.
If you're good.
If you're good, these referral leads, I'm at 50, 60%. Even I'm actually at 70%, because when they come in, as a referral. It doesn't come in as I mentioned. A lot of them don't work out, but most of them do. So let's say if I get 75 deals at a million, that's 75 million in sales right there. And I didn't have to do anything except build my directory of local businesses that I also provide through my existing database every time they ask me for anything. And I should have that for my business anyway, right? And so that's basically what it does. It helps you build the directory and make it a referral machine on steroids, basically.
I love that. So the problem we're solving for is realtors get asked by clients if they're good that, hey, I need a floor guy, I need X, Y, or Z, for my, some sort of ancillary thing for my real estate, whatever, or I need an accountant, or it could be anything. And realtor says, I got the best person, or I have a directory with all these great people. Realtor then goes, finds the best accountant. It's a very arduous process because you got to build that manually. It just takes time. What
Oh,
you're
hang
doing
on.
is your system is going in and saying, here are the best people that we can find based on reviews in your area. And we're going to set up appointments with those service professionals. And we're going to say, hey, let's develop a reciprocal relationship here. I'm going to send people to you. All I ask is talk about me if you ever hear anybody moving. And and that's it. There's no cost. I'm going to promote you. I'm going to make content about you because I want all of my followers on social and my email list to know about you, Mr. Dentist, or whatever. And we are going to promote each other, and I'm going to tag you, and we're just going to see what happens here. And essentially, this is going to build the whole infrastructure and do a lot of the actual setting up of even appointments with these providers, so that you get to meet
Everything.
with. It's a B2B play. So what you're doing is you are setting up. Basically free advertising for these other small businesses who are only getting pitched by companies who want them to pay for advertising all day long. And you're like, oh no, I'm a realtor. Like, I have people asking me about this all the time, and people move into
Mhm.
this area and they don't have a dentist. They need a dentist. They need a vet. And you are now like, I want to promote your service. I know you're great. And let's figure out a way to do that. And then all I ask is that you think about me when people need home assistance. Yeah.
Exactly. And look, can anyone do this? Sure. Manually, think about what it would take to doing all the social media for this. Think about it, what it take to arranging all these phone calls, digging in and finding these things. Just so we basically took everything and just made it so much easier for the agent that it's in their calendar. They didn't have to reach out to one person. All they had to do is build the directory online and say, okay, do I need this person? I already have this person. Let me put in, let me try this. Sends out the information, sets the appointment. Once you confirm you got those people, automatically starts marketing them onto all your channels and the way we set it up. And your job is really just meeting these people, making relationships, calling them up every 60 days, 90 days to say hi, inviting them to events, whatever that looks like. Um, and then just watching and seeing who's getting referrals or not. And it works. I have a team that I want to do this for. I didn't intentionally try to build this as a SaaS product, but I'm going to, because I might as well. I went this far. Um, but it really it gets somebody that, even a brand new agent, going, I don't have anybody in my database. I'm new to this area. I don't have 250, 300 people to even start with. Well, how about you take this machine within 90 days, you'll have 100 people in your database and you'll be having incredible conversations, of which, by the way, it's like, oh, DJ's my dog walker. DJ, do you own a house? Yeah. He goes, let me give you a home market evaluation through Real Scout, and I'll put you on my regular emailer so you can see that. Now I'm top of mind to DJ, not only as a
Right.
client, but as a referring influencer, local micro influencer. No AI, nothing. Nobody's ever going to take this away from me, because I've built my tribe. And good luck, because I've already reciprocally, did a very fair trade of business from introducing everybody to each other within each, everybody's sphere, from the business to the agent. Good luck trying to take that away. They're going to feel obligated.
When is this going to be available for agents to subscribe to and use?
I think it's going to be available next year. We're going to have some pilot betas for anybody that's interested. We will have some pilot betas that we're going to just invite a small handful of people. Those that go on the beta version of it, we will give, basically a lifetime discount forever. I don't even know what I'm going to price it at, but we'll give a discount for them to run it, and to use it, and to help finalize and work out the kinks of the product. We've worked most of it out, but and every area is a little bit different, so it's just more of trying to geographically tune it. That's all.
I love it. Well, wait, do you have a name for it yet?
Localmayor.com.
Localmayor.com. I love it. I
It's not
love
up
it.
yet. You can look for it, but we don't have it going anywhere yet. So yeah.
But keep your eye out for it. It's coming. And Jeff, what a great conversation. I want to thank Jeff on behalf of our audience for he's a busy guy and he does hundreds of millions of dollars in business a year with he and his team, and he took time to really share his strategies and really his wisdom and his experience. And again, these podcasts are relationship driven as well, and we really honor you for coming on our show and giving up serving our audience out of the goodness of your heart. So we appreciate that. If you are an agent in the greater LA area and you want to work with Jeff and his team, of course he doesn't work with everybody, so make a good pitch for yourself, figure out what you can add value to Jeff's team and reach out to him, Jeff Biebuyck, and we'll have all of his contact information is in our show notes. So reach out to him and his team. He does some really cool things, and he's always looking for the next and greatest, not only agent, but also opportunities in technology and just how to help make your business run more effectively, and also just making sure the business runs. So he is going to be a great longtime partner for you. So and by the way, if you're an agent who is not in that area, but you have people that move into that area, people that move into the luxury space or even the non-luxury space, Jeff can if he can't assist you, he'll pass you off to an agent that he knows is good. But definitely reach out to him if you want to just partner up from different part of the country. Obviously, he has people that leave and travel elsewhere and
Oh,
set
we
up.
have a lot of California buyers right now, and I'm sure everyone's very aware of that right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And so on behalf of our audience, Jeff, thank you. And on behalf of Jeff, thank you to our audience. You guys are the reason we can keep doing these episodes. And I just ask one thing is to tell one other agent about this show. Just think of one other broker, or we call them brokers here. We'll say realtor, one other realtor that needs to hear what Jeff had to say. And that's basically any agent, send them a link to our show or just tell them to download or subscribe to our podcast. And also whatever podcast app you're listening to us on, shoot us, let us know what you think. Leave us a review. That helps us get in front of more people as well. But please tell a friend. We appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Jeff. Thanks to the audience. We will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Jeff.
thank you so much. Appreciate it, DJ. And again, I always appreciate these opportunities from you.